Welcome to the Game Room Gamers. I got a good one for you today. This is the build I was playing on stream and is going to be my final 1-bar bow build for a little bit. This is the same gear and vibe that's on the Nightblade, Sorcerer, and Arcanist, but min-max for the Warden. This thing brings some weight to the BGs. Here are all my games from that day's playtesting, and as you can see, things worked out well, very well. A big thing I want you to see here are these yellow numbers. This is the healing done to the team. So this would be 610,000 healing, 512,000, 807,000, and so on, while averaging great KDAs and solid damage. This brings so much to the table in regard to team benefit with its group heals and huge dot pressure to enemy teams. Let's take a look at a bit of a well-rounded highlight reel here, which is this game here, just shy of 1 million healing done. If we look at the entire scoreboard here, let's look at what this build brought to the table for this game. I think this will really open your eyes of what a good 1-bar build can do when played correctly. The second most damage in the game, with a large step down to third and below, the most kill participation in the game via KDAs, the least deaths in the entire game, and if you strike out the actual healers, we literally did more team healing than everyone else on the game combined. And this is a 1-bar bow build, zipping around at light speed, dodge rolling all over the place. And this general experience was consistent for the entire stream. A quick side note about the 38-0-48 game, this was one of those heavily one-sided games, you know how that goes, so that's not really anything special there, but I just wanted to make sure we included every 8v8 we played that day, so no matter how they went. This is heavyweight stuff for 1-bar, and I think you're going to like it if you are a Warden enjoyer. I'm going to go over this quick with a bit of gameplay at the end for you, but I also have the written guide up and available for you now over at the GameRoom.tv. Let's go. This is a stamina-based build, but I am a high elf here, and it actually worked out very well. Having a little bit extra magicka ended up being very helpful in tense moments due to the high-cost magicka abilities on the build, and the spell recharge high elf passive ended up working great as well. I would say no matter what race you are, give it a shot, but a stamina-oriented race is going to be most ideal damage-wise, with probably Imperial being the best race for the build. But I actually ended up really liking how the high elf flowed with the build. So there's lots of viable options in there. With attribute points, you want about 30k health in BGs, so without the Boundless Vitality CP slottable active, with your food and the Warden Minor Toughness buff up. With a race without any health passives, that's about 24 points in health and the rest in stamina. We're going to be using the Serpent Mundus, which is totally mandatory due to the dodge roll heavy playstyle. For consumables, we have Bear Haunch and Tripods. For our gear, we're using the Big Bow Razzle Dazzle combo of Sheer Venom and Way of Fire. This is, in my opinion, the most broken bow build combo in the game for BGs and works fantastic on several classes. You can melt the entire map with dots and then snap target individual players down with single target damage. The reason Sheer Venom works so well on this type of setup is its proc condition is dealing damage with an execute ability. Poison Inject is considered an execute ability. So when you apply Inject to a target, Sheer Venom also rolls on that target for the full duration of Inject. So 20 seconds of double dots plus random poison status effects popping up. But wait, there's more. You can also apply Inject to multiple targets, so you can spread this combo everywhere to everything you can reach. Just that alone for pressing one button is crazy good dot pressure around the map. Then, Way of Fire's proc condition is dealing damage with a weapon or weapon ability, of which Poison Inject also is from the bow skill line. So now you also proc Way of Fire around, also proccing the burning status effect randomly. Although Way of Fire is a single instance of the dot, not multiple like Sheer Venom. Just something to note there. But we're going to be bringing even more dots to the table here in a moment when we go over abilities. Let's wrap up gear here and look at it all together. You want Way of Fire on the chest, necklace, ring, and bow, with Sheer Venom around that on the body. We top that off with a monster set of your choice with a line of weapon damage and Oaken Soul. I run 7 well-fitted traits because I take maximum advantage of the dodge roll heavy playstyle. The only variation of this is I also have a backup reinforced chest, but I rarely actually use it now. I use 7 well-fitted on all of the bow builds now. It's way too nasty of a playstyle and just impossible to deal with unless a group is intentionally training you down with a mark on your head or something. Try enchanted on armor pieces as well, all infused on jewelry. I have 2 physical and 1 magical harm enchants on the jewelry just due to my own sustained flow needs, but you can change this around to say all magical harm if you need a bit more mag sustain. Sharpen trait on the bow as well, and we're using double dot poisons. You can take this exact setup and drop it on the Nightblade, Sorcerer, and Arcanist, and also have a great experience with what those classes bring to the table as well. I'll put links to all 3 of those in the video description for you. All right, abilities. First is Netch. You need this for sustain, and then having a cost-free self-purge is just too good. You have permanent major expedition and endless dodge rolls, so you're very fast and hard to lock down. What can chew you up though is dots. And what do we have with the Netch? Bam, free purges on the fly while also getting a baby heal from it due to the Bond with Nature Warden passive. Use this all the time. If you don't have a button to press, fill the void with Netch. You'll just passively shrug off everything thrown at you over time. Next is Healing Contingency with a burst heal, heal over time, and minor resolve. If you've been part of the channel, you have seen this on all of my 1-bar builds now, PvE and PvP. It's just too nice. I have a video here I will link for you at the top now and also put it in the video description that breaks this down for you. If this is new for you, I highly recommend you check out this short video because there are some really unique ways to take advantage of this ability that is not evident in the tooltip that's very powerful. If you don't have scribing, then you would replace this with Green Vigor, getting a decent heal and the same defensive buff. I'm going to come back to Cutting Dive in just a moment. Next, we have Polar Wind, a huge burst heal for yourself and one teammate, plus a heal over time. So coupling Contingency with Polar Wind is huge, and then both of them leave you with a heal over time effect. Add a dodge roll into the mix, and you are just a nightmare to try to lock down. Get some distance from those chasing you, and boom, you can just purge off any dots thrown at you. A crazy good defensive kit that also heals the teammates around you. For our ulti, I go with Dawnbreaker. It's going to make all of your dots hit harder and your heals bigger with the Fighter's Guild passive Slayer. And then you get a huge burst and stun when in melee range, which will happen constantly due to the nature of BGs. And our spammable Cutting Dive, which brings quite a lot more to the table, giving you a bleed-based spammable with a bleed damage over time effect, which also procs the hemorrhage status effect. This can also be spread to multiple targets, and every use of it procs the Bond with Nature passive, healing you. So putting all that together with only 2 damage buttons, Poison Inject and Cutting Dive, you get the Cutting Dive main damage, light attacks from Weaving, Way of Fire dot, Sheer Venom dot, Cutting Dive dot, Poison Inject dot, Poison Inject main damage, double dot poisons, burning status effect, poison status effect, and hemorrhage status effect. 12 damage sources from Weaving 2 buttons. What? Then, when you have most of this rolling on multiple targets, your RNG status effects randomly bubble up and give little bursty windows of extra dot pressure. And this is endless. You can just keep spreading these dots over and over and over, soften people up, and then turn and burn anyone down with missing health with Cutting Dive spams into an inject execute. It is nastiness. Remember, you have 7 well-fitted traits. You shouldn't be face tanking anything. You should be dodge rolling constantly. One of the reasons these 1-bar builds, even the non-bow builds, work so well is we are heavily band-aiding the lack of backbar abilities, backbar weapon, and very often a defensive set by heavily leaning on the dodge roll playstyle, giving us constant iframes, mitigating damage, and making you an undesirable target to try and chase, especially with major expedition proccing constantly and your dodge rolls from the bow passives. You need to program yourself to be highly mobile all the time, dodge rolling constantly, kiting and bleeding out enemies, and when done correctly, you'll have regular experiences like this, and your deaths will be consistently low from all the damage avoidance. And that's it, gamers. It's that easy. I'll leave you with a bit of gameplay so you can see it in action. If you ever want to see live gameplay, I'm now a partnered member of the ESO stream team and stream regularly over at the Game Room on Twitch. Look, I genuinely appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please let me know and have a wonderful day.